What's going on, guys? Jarno here. Today I want to show y'all the Forsaken Isles grind spot, as well as the quest line here, that if you started at level 30, by the time you finish it, you'll be around level 34 or 35, and the whole process should take about 30 minutes. Starting off here, you're going to follow the main road around, go through the grind location village to the quest giver here at his hut, and then head back over to where all the mobs spawn. Our very first quest is gonna be to get 27 of the items that they drop. Now, generally, you get a lot of players coming through here, so I recommend using your AoE abilities, tagging the monster so that you can get loot, and then moving on to the next group. While you get slightly less experience per mob that way, when you're level 30, you're not really doing massively competitive damage anyways, so your primary goal here is just to level up, and we're going to do that through the quest itself. I've run both a mage and a paladin through this area. The paladin did amazing because I could just throw the consecrated ground down, wait there about 3 seconds, and by the time I ran off, all the mobs would oof. And the mages turned out to be pretty good. In specific, the cleric here, my self-healing has allowed me to stay alive, and then I am using the spider-webbed staff. It's currently unupgraded, alongside the mushroom robes that is also unupgraded. So my gear's not even very good through the course of this video, and I'm level 30, so not really a power player by any means. You can do this on your first character without any issues. Alright, and we just collected enough of the items for the first quest turn in. Let's go ahead and head back over to the hut. There we go, got a little bit over a quarter of a level up. The second quest is going to involve just fighting the mobs. There's 2 different types within the camp, as well as the boss and the giants that can spawn. You just got to fight some of each. They spawn intermingled, so if you just run around the camp, you'll fulfill the quest there. Now, unfortunately, this quest line, while giving amazing experience, it does not reset when you rebirth. So this is a one-off quest opportunity for your first playthrough or any subsequent characters that you create to get a massive boost of experience in your 30s. If you look at the top of the screen, you can see the bars with the number 350 in it. Every mob that oofs tallies up on those bars. Once all 4 bars are filled up, which would mean a total of a total of 1,400 of the mobs in this camp are destroyed, then the boss in the center spawns, and the last quest in this chain is actually for the boss in the center. Taking a quick little detour to try to find where that giant crab is. Giant creatures give good enough experience to justify heading out. Plus, it's always good to try and collect those giant tokens. You can use those to get some of the enchantment scrolls pretty easily. Alright, and that giant muglo just spawned. Got some hits on that. I'm going to get some experience, so I'm going to head around and try to find where the giant muglo is. And I have eyes on him. Looks like I got a hit in just in time to be able to collect some loot, which ultimately is the goal at level 30 anyways. Alright, another quest complete. And as you can see, the majority of what I'm doing is running around and tagging the creatures. Using a spell on them, damaging them so I get experience when another player comes through and oofs them, and also work towards quest completion. There we go, first level up. That was from level 30 to 31. Grabbing the next step in the chain. At this point, we've finished the first two steps, and all that remains is the final step, where we have to fight the boss in the center of the grind area. So I'm just going to run through and fight as many of these mobs as possible until he spawns. There's really not a set recommended way for running through these mobs. Just find where they're gathering up at and use your highest damage AoE to maximize your experience gain. One downside of grinding in this area is It's one of the best areas for experience from level 30 to 40, and so you get a lot of players that come through. And if it only takes one or two higher level players, people above level 40, to really kill your experience gain, because they'll oof the monsters so fast you won't even have a chance to be able to hit them. It is, in my opinion, worth it to pick up everything, preferably if you have a pet to save you from having to pick up all the drops, as there's so many mobs oofing constantly. But a full stack of their trash drops sells for about 14 silver. They also drop the basic headgear scrolls fairly frequently. I generally hold on to those and sell those on the player auction house for about 100 silver each. There's also a pretty fairly rare drop, the Moglo mask, which is an excellent hunter mask with a high dex bonus. Keep an eye out for that. If you can't use it yourself, you can usually fetch a couple gold off the market from it. Outside of those items, you can also get some of the purple enhancement scrolls. If your gear hasn't been enchanted yet, I'd go ahead and just drop them on whatever your gear, or excuse me, whatever gear your grinding level's in. Get that little bit of extra boost. And keep in mind that the purple scrolls give a +6 bonus compared to the +3 bonus for the respective stat. So if it's a purple weapon scroll, you get +6 to the weapon damage rather than +3, or if it's armor, you'll get +6 armor compared to +3. Here we are going through the monster manual just so to highlight some of the things that drop. There is a very small probability to get some of the premium items as well, such as the megaphone. One absolutely fantastic aspect of this grind spot is the merchant at the dock is right around the corner. So once your inventory fills up, it's not a big deal. Shoot around, unload your inventory. It really makes it worth it to pick up these potions and the mighty meat subs just to squeeze out that extra few silver while grinding. The main boss for this area is pretty worth farming as well, because he can drop stat and skill reset tomes, as well as weapons designed for each class. Whenever you see a giant monster pop up, immediately focus in on it to try and maximize the amount of loot you get. Plus, they provide a substantial amount more experience than the base mobs of the area. This area does have a tendency to get laggy when you've been grinding here a while. I suspect it's a combination of a memory leak from the massive amounts of unpicked up or uncollected loot, as well as the spell effects from the mage class. In the event that that's going on, if you just simply restart your client, it will fix the problem. And we're now about 3/4 of the way to spawn in the central boss. That is the last step of this quest, and that quest turn in should give us about 1 3/4 levels, up to 2 levels. Now keep in mind, when you're grinding in this area, you want to be sure to carry some rune stones. Because when you want to leave, if you don't have a rune stone, you're going to end up asking other players until you find one. There's not a taxi from this location. The island that I just shot the venom spell at, you generally find 5 to 6 of the muglos there. It's a good area to throw into your rotation. And as you can currently see, I was talking about earlier, when a high level player comes through and does so much damage, it makes it hard to even tag a mob. The Berserker in the zone here is absolutely shredding it and killing the experience gains a little bit. But that's alright, because we still have the quest line, and that makes it worth it to stick around. As we're currently only about 140 mobs away from spawning the central boss, it's important to know how to survive that fight. The boss has a couple of different, very high damage attacks. One of them is a laser beam that locks in on you. If you run around the platform, you'll be able to avoid the damage from that. And the other is a mid to high damage, depending on your level, AoE attack. Make sure you don't engage the boss unless you have plenty of healing options readily available. Luckily, these mobs drop the subs. Those make an excellent source of a hit point potion for the fight And you also have your basic adventurer heal, which by level 30 isn't scaling very well anymore. Fortunately, I filmed this video on a cleric, which means I have plenty of healing for myself and others around me. Seeing that person talking about dropping a lure, I do not recommend using a monster lure in this zone, as they're already so, the concentration of the mobs are already so condensed that kind of wastes it. This boss usually takes a lot longer, but again, there's a couple high-level players here that are just absolutely wrecking them. When it comes to lag management, I pretty much recommend restarting your client after every boss cycle. It should be every 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how many players are in the area with you. Alright, and we have finished the final step of this quest. Once we collect the loot, we'll go turn it in, and you can see how insane the experience is. I unfortunately am dealing with so much lag here, it's hard to even deploy any of my abilities. Alright, and here's the drop table for the boss we just took out. So you can see weapons designed for each class, a shield for the knight, stat reset tomes. You got a couple of the more desirable enchantment scrolls. Alright, we head back to the quest giver for the final time, turn in this final step. And as you can see, I just hit level 34. I'm only a sliver away from 35, and the total time it took was approximately 25 minutes. Hopefully this helped. Please like, subscribe, and comment.